NBC Sports Boston's Tom Curran back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Tommy?
How you doing, big fella?
Well, at least Hoyer got some work last night too, huh? I mean, what a Lollapalooza, what a Belichick palooza, do your job palooza that was last night
It really
in Philadelphia.
was. And the funny thing is, you're trying to process it, and I think they went 21 for 28 for 249 between Cam and Mac Jones. And you're saying, wow, they looked awesome, but it really was hitting off a tee as opposed to what we saw Monday and Tuesday when they were playing against Derek Barnett and Fletcher Cox and Darius Slay. None of those guys played.
Right.
So you don't want to be the turd in the punch bowl. Like, well, who were they playing against? But, who were they playing against? Really, what it comes down to.
So what do we make of this then, Tom? Because Monday and Tuesday, how did they look against the how did they look in the punch bowl before the turds got in it?
They scuffled a little bit. And I don't want to go too far on the defensive side of the ball, but Jalen Hurts was the best quarterback of the group, and he did a really great job against the Patriots defense, knocking passes into his tight ends. But, we're more quarterback-centric here for New England, and Mac was better than Cam on Monday. Neither guy was good. On Tuesday, with Philly playing zone, in a lot of the red zone situational stuff in 7-on-7 and 11-on-11, and the Patriots not having Johnny Smith or Hunter Henry, it was a check down brigade for both quarterbacks. Really only one incompletion for Cam and one incompletion, which was a pick for Mac Jones. So what I think the takeaway continues to be Mac Jones is more efficient, more accurate, more decisive than Cam Newton on a day-in, day-out basis. So it's gone on for a month.
Did I read something, Tom Curran, that somebody on the Eagles was heckling Cam as a check-down king or something like that during the practice?
That's exactly what he was labeled, the check-down king. And Cam said, well, stop playing zone and give me soft spots in the zone, and I'll stop checking it down. But I think we saw last night, for those who watched the game, the reason Mac Jones is going to, perhaps sooner rather than later, emerge as a Patriot starter is his ability to be accurate down the field. And Cam had a few step-up type throws because he was going with his first offensive line against the second and third defensive lines and front sevens. But he had the opportunity to step up and throw accurately in the mid-range. But for the second week in a row, you saw Mac Jones throw a 40-yard-plus pass downfield and hit somebody in the hands. Both of them have been incomplete. But Mac Jones' accuracy down the field for a team that brought in Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne and Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, there's a point in which you need to maximize those resources. You spent money on them. You want to use them. One guy's better at using them than the other.
Tom Curran, NBC Sports Boston here on the Rich Eisen Show. Had you on early July, and you were talking about what you were hearing and the raves from within the Patriot regime about Mac Jones picking things up and being a lot closer to completion than potentially other rookie quarterbacks might be after their first mini camps. What are you hearing about his readiness, preparedness, what people are saying during training camp? Give me that one.
Very positive, feeling as if, what we're seeing and perceiving is what the team is seeing and perceiving as well. He's kind of eyeball to eyeball with Cam in many ways, many important ways. And that includes pre-snap, post-snap accuracy and efficiency. The concern is, and Mike Lombardi, I think, articulated it on his podcast, do you want to sink the roots a little bit more? Do you want to shelter him? And that, Rich, to me, is we can all reel off the examples. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, of guys who were not thrown in the deep end. But Justin Herbert was thrown in the deep end when Tyrod Taylor got his lung punctured. He did fine. The floor for Mac Jones is so high that I don't think he needs to be wet nursed through the early portion of the season. But we both know, and you know Bill very well too, one interesting thing is look at all the defensive and offensive coordinators he's had over the years and the way he resists giving them a title. It's almost like, well, he can't deal with the criticism. He won't be able to deal with it. Well, why? What's the big deal? To me, if you don't start Mac Jones at the beginning of the year, you're afraid he can't take it. And I think that's being a helicopter parent.
I kind of agree with you, Tom, because how many times do we all say that, Alabama and the SEC is as close to the NFL as college football is going to get, and Nick Saban is as close to Belichick as you're going to get in college football, and now here he is in professional football with Belichick, and of course there is a learning curve, but I don't think that there's anything that Mac Jones is going to see or feel that he hasn't already felt in becoming a self-made man, a kid who used to be, 170 pounds soaking wet, and now a mid-first-round draft choice for the New England Patriots, the first-round drafted quarterback since Drew Bledsoe. I mean, I think he can take it. The question is what is Belichick's process going to be? I know, you know Bill, and you mentioned about how I've been around the guy and know him, but does anybody know what his process is of evaluation and thought is going to be, what he needs to see, what you think he's going to go on with gut feel, and how much that's going to be part of the equation? Any idea on that front, Tom?
I think he loves this.
I bet.
Being enigmatic and having people go, what's Bill going to do? He has no doubt embraced that element of his brand that he has developed. So he loves it. And he'll love the interplay that we're going to engage in over the next however many days.
Even though he might outwardly not seem to love it.
He's going to love it. I can't wait. I can't wait until these idiots start asking me. But there is a competitive advantage, too. If you're Brian Flores and you have to keep sitting here seeing Cam Newton play the first quarter with all the ones, and it might happen again next week against New York, well, then you have to go into week one preparing for quarterback draws and read option and a running quarterback as opposed to, a Tom Brady extra light who is going to process and throw darts at your defense. So there's a competitive advantage that Bill Belichick might very well wring every moment out of that he can. And I can see how this is going to go for about another 2 or 3 weeks.
So, best guess, we're going to go into week one and that lead up post Labor Day to week one against the Dolphins. He's going to call those cards close to the vest, right? Like we won't know. There's no reason for him to make any move, any decision, any announcement. Give us anything we want.
A dumb question, Rich. Teams don't have to announce their starting quarterback, do they? No, they don't.
What's the upset? Unless they want to give their 53 men and everyone else in the building a little bit of guidance, but they'll know that by who takes the ones, right? And anybody who breathes anything to their friends, parents, agents, and what have you, and that gets out, they will have to fear the wrath of Belichick coming down from the mount, right? Like that's the way it'll probably lead up to week one. Best you can tell right here.
And he takes us out of practice, right after stretching. We don't see any ones and twos. So it's not like we're going to be reporting on it. We're going to be trying to ferret it out. But, what's the upside of telling Tom Curran who you think the starter is going to be up against your paycheck? Nah.
So how are you going to ask the question, Tom? You want me to be Belichick? You want to practice? No, I don't think you need it. But, I mean, because we're going to see that. I mean, Bill,
there's let's see. Let's do this.
Okay. Think about it. Don't ask a yes or no question because he'll stick that one aside. The way to go is to try and go nostalgia. What did you do back in that day and try to get him started?
I don't think that stuff applies, Rich.
Okay.
This is 2021. I'm not talking about Phil Simms and Jeff Hosta.
All right, we're all grasping at straws, Tom. All right.
We're going to go with Bill.
Mm.
Clearly, Mac Jones has appeared to be the better thrower, better decision maker, and more accurate. If you always do what's best for the team, and we know that that's the case. In 2021, can you explain why Cam Newton would be a better option to start than Mac Jones?
Well, I mean, we just, evaluating and just looking at the film and we'll
I mean,
we'll just take a look at it. I mean, that's your opinion. I mean, we're looking at all
that, and I'm sure we all value that, Tom. I'm sure everybody's dying to know exactly how you see it breaking down.
You don't need me to play Bill. You got both parts.
I've seen this movie.
You've been part of this movie. Oh, it's going to be great theater.
And then you know what sucks, Rich, is
What,
then
Tom?
you know that whatever answer you get, you run the risk of being the lead story on Twitter or wherever that day. Are you mentally prepared for that as a reporter?
Yeah. Just sacrifice Mike Reese. Just like throw him out there. Like, you know what I mean?
Hide behind him.
Like, hey, Mike, I got a question you should ask Bill.
I can do a Reese for you, too. Hey, Bill, we got to start somebody on Sunday. Feeling like it could be Mac.
Send Breer out there.
One of my very best friends. But
Send Breer out there. He's number one in their hearts already anyway. So let's just send him out there.
No, Mac.
This is great. We're getting it all from Tom Curran. 2-drink minimum. Tom Curran has appeared here on the Rich Eisen
Tip
Show.
your waitress.
Defensively, it seems like this cake is close to baked. Would that be appropriate to say? With Gilmore, we're assuming healthy and coming into form. With Judon looking terrific, what would you say about that side of the ball?
Yeah, they're going to have some issues on the back end right now because, I'm not sure Jalen Mills is anywhere close to 50% of what Stephon Gilmore is. J.C. Jackson's been outstanding. The safety play is excellent, but we saw some tight end feasting by the Eagles on Monday and Tuesday in the red zone. So it's not a layup, but Judon's a great ad. And having Hightower, Van Noy, Juwan Bentley, Winovich, Uche, and I'm not going to go through all the defensive linemen that they've added and that they have, but they are stocked in the front seven. So they're going to be miles better than they were last year when they were actually not good at all.
Well, then I should ask you also an Eagles question. So you said Hurts looked like the best quarterback. It looks like he's ready to take the reins there in Philly, right? And you saw Smith.
Yeah.
Did you see any of Smith? Because he looked terrific last night when he had space, ball in hand, and things like that. I'll give you the floor on that subject.
He's so sudden, but I was surprised to see the Patriots kind of languishing 6'3" corner Jawan Williams stick with Smith early on a couple of routes. And I think that Smith, he's ridiculously fast. But until he gets through those first hits, I don't think his hands were great last night, and he acknowledged that a little bit after the game. But Hurts he might have a little Russell Wilson in him. So I enjoyed him this week. He threw so accurately.
Did you get to speak with him? Because he's pretty special on that front too. I don't know
Did not. I was staking out Cam.
And how was he? How's he taking this whole business?
He didn't love it. When I asked him about his Instagram post last week and how come he put that up about I'm not perfect, but I deserve loyalty. And I said, what does that mean? What do you mean there? I mean, you're playing football, and you sat down last week, and the fans cheered on your replacement. And what do you mean there? And he said, it had nothing to do with football. Well, you're a professional quarterback, and that's why you have so many followers. You probably know the day after a preseason game, if you put that out there, most people are going to deduce that.
Did you say that to him?
Directly to him.
Okay.
I said, well, people were going to take it that way. He goes, did I? Like, well, kind of. You did. Well, I put a lot of stuff on my Instagram that has nothing to do with football. But if you do a quick perusal of his Instagram, 79% of the posts are about football. So, I don't know.
How could you make it out over the weird font?
Oh, my gosh. You know what, man? I go, he's been in this league 10 years now. I mean, this is it. And the question is he gonna get the opportunity to become the entertainer and icon that he was, an iconic play in 2015? And are those days totally done? And will he get the opportunity to perform? If he performs in the first 3 games this year like he did last year, and continue it on for half a season, and then the conversation will be, why would you go to Mac? I mean, like, that's his best case scenario, right? That's Cam's best case scenario here. this year?
His best case scenario, I think, actually would have been for Mac Jones to come in and play like Jarrett Stidham, or play like somebody who was
I don't think that's happening.
unequipped to start. I mean, he's being beaten out. That's the issue. And if he's being beaten out by somebody who's never played in the NFL before, then it's hard for that. What I think is interesting is the Cam Newton that we've seen for 18 months or 15 months or however long it's been feels different than the guy who was the MVP. He's just so at ease and comfortable and introspective and communicative. And, you know, I've read enough about him in Carolina, and I know the bristling over the way he carried himself there, but there is no artifice to him here. He is who he is, and he's constantly optimistic and joyful. I just don't think that this Cam Newton is ever going to dovetail with an outstanding on-field Cam Newton. He's a journeyman-level thrower and a great leader.
And Bill loves him, though.
Sorry.
Bill loves him, though, right? I mean, Bill does
I
love
love him, too.
right?
You know, someone once said, you know, Bill loved Wes Welker at $3 million. It was when he franchised him for $9 million that he didn't really like him. And the same thing is true of Cam Newton at $4 or $5 million to allow himself to be benched 3 times last year and never say a sad word about it. Of course he's going to love him. He's been nothing but a pleasure to work with because he's been easy.
Tom, appreciate the chat.
Yeah.
This is great, man. Best of luck over the next 3 weeks. Our eyes and ears will be peeled and listening to the ground to hear this theater that we just gamed out for everybody on the Rich Eisen Show of you and the rest of the New England media trying to get out of Bill Belichick his thought process on his starting quarterback and who it's going to be prior to week 1. I can't wait. This is good stuff.
I know.
I got my
Yeah, well, that makes one of us.
Take care, Tom. You're the best.
Take care.
You be well. That's Tom Curran. Tom E. Curran.
Tommy.
On Twitter.
Ooh.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.